as you keep aging, time keeps becoming shorter.
The Western philosophy is very simple. Time is linear. But when we talk about time in Sanatan, time is multi-dimensional. It keeps on changing. And a very practical example of time is the 3 states of consciousness. There is an understanding in the Gita known as Prasad Buddhi. Buddhi means intellect. Prasad is something that we go to the temple and take. So whatever is happening in your life, take it as a prasad from the divine.
Wow. How you understand Maya is where you'll go beyond time.
Now suppose if I tell that this is my glass, I've associated with certain identity, that I am myself, this glass is mine, but the problem is I don't realize in ignorance that this is temporary.
Is Bhairav and Shiva one and the same?
In higher states, they all are one. You know, when you start worshipping Shiva, he's Bholenath. He's just, when you chant and you just surrender, he will look after you. He's one of those gods that you call out, he'll come first.
When does he get annoyed?
I got an experience of his Rudraru when I was not doing a sadhana. And then I realized that
Wow.
an enlightened being goes beyond the Gunas. He becomes a witness. That is called the Turiya. You are in a state where you have no anxiety, no fear, no mental issues. You are a perfect instrument and you're experiencing unconditional love. That is the reason you do sadhana. Ma Kali stands for past, present and future. Ma Bhuvneshwari stands for space, the cardinal points. So when you do sadhana, you realize that they're taking you beyond space, time and causation.
The purpose of my career is to sit with you, Bhavesh bhai, and talk about what the world needs to listen to.
Thank you, Arbhai. I'm good. Thank you.
I think that childhood is where a human mind first understands the concept of time.
True.
Would you like to talk about childhood? Would you like to talk about aging? Or would you like to begin with a mantra? I'm just throwing the ball to you, whatever you want to do.
We will begin with a mantra. And of course, we are talking about Mahakal, so we will pray to him. We will chant the verses of Rudri. And of course, we offer it everything to him because he is Mahakal. So, Om Namaste Astu Bhagwan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Trambakaya Tripurantakaya Trikalagni Kalaya Kalagni Rudraya Neelakantaya Mrityunjayaya Sarveshwaraya Sadashivaya Shriman Mahadevaya Namaha. We bow down to him who's beyond space, time and causation.
Jai Mahakal.
Jai Mahakal. Yeah, Arbhai, coming back to time and childhood, how do we start? I will start from the basics so that we can go.
It's totally in your court.
Whenever we talk about time or whenever the time topic comes up, first thing that occurs to our mind is the fear of death. Because with time, there is an expiry date. And we are conditioned by the society. So whenever a baby is born or whenever someone comes into birth, we celebrate, we are happy. But at the same time, when that person or baby grows older, the time of death has also come. And the beauty is, or maybe call it the drawback, that we are conditioned that anything that we hold very close to us, with time, that also has an expiry date. The beauty is that we cherish it, but with time, we realize that has an expiry date. But if you ask me what time is from a spiritual point of view, again, I'm juggling between practical and spiritual. There is no time. Time is just a concept that a mind has created. Again, coming back to this reality. Now, if you realize in our childhood, time was going very fast. Very, very fast. If I tell, I think I mentioned this last time. If I tell a small boy or my cousin or someone nephew that tomorrow we'll go for a movie, for him, tomorrow is like, oh no, tomorrow, itna dur hai, itna dur hai, itna dur hai. But if the child likes eating a lollipop, khatam, time is just half an hour becomes 2 minutes. Even for us, if you like something, time runs. If you don't like something, that same time is like, oh no, 2 घंटे हो गए, time ही नहीं जा रहा है, time ही नहीं जा रहा है. So the concept of time changes accordingly. And as we grow older and we look back, we realize life is just snap and life is over.
Yeah. I'd seen this one graphic some time ago. It showed the perception of time for a child versus the perception of time for an adult. So an easy way of understanding that is I would ask the viewers to go back to their second grade. And that distance of second to third grade or to fourth grade felt like a lot. Like in your fourth standard, in your fourth grade, you look back at second grade as being ages ago.
True.
Now switch to being 24. Age 24 is not too distant from age 22, even mentally speaking.
True.
But actually, if you quantify both, it's the same amount of time.
True.
The graphic basically showcased time as being much more stretched out in childhood. And as you keep aging, time keeps becoming shorter.
True. I will throw more light on it. The Western philosophy is very simple. Time is linear. Time is straight. According to Western philosophy, we are born at A and we die at B. For example, I take birth, I go to school, I get married, eventually I'll die. But in Sanatan, the concept of time is very different. Time according to us is circular. That means in a year we have 12 months. 1 minute has 60 seconds. Everything goes on circular. And again, in that circle, you don't know where the time starts and when the time ends. However, in Rigved, beautifully, time is given a beautiful concept. It is not a concept, it is the understanding of the rishis, and they got it to us in a very simple manner. They have given axes, x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. And there is a horse, Ashwa. Actually, Ashwa means a horse, but when you break down, means no and Swa means tomorrow. That means there is no tomorrow. And there are horses running spirally, multiple directions, going to multiple lokas. So what we understand from A to B is nothing. Time is multi-dimensional. It keeps on changing. And a very practical example of time is the 3 states of consciousness, which is very, very, we all go through it, though we are unaware, but we experience it every day. For example, now in the awake state, I'm enjoying this conversation. Time is going very fast. If in this conversation I am not connecting, time will go very slow. I want to leave the room. Then comes the dream state. Dream state is very interesting because at the moment, suppose Arba, I'm talking to you, and while talking, you go to sleep. Now, in your sleep, you are dreaming that you are in Paris. It's your world. Again, there is that space and time. Again, you snap out. Again, you go to another dream where you might be at Kargil saving someone. But when you wake up, again you come in this. So the concept of time has changed completely. And in deep sleep when we go, you don't know where time is. So the concept of time is so detailed and it is so much to learn and understand. But our problem is we always live in our past or 90% in the future. So the concept of time is very strange because we are conditioned. Suppose if someone is taking birth, the time we are born, the concept of time comes into play. Because everything works according to space, time and causation. That is Desh, Kal and Nimitta. We'll get there. And now when suppose I'm born, I will go to school, I will get married, I will learn, eventually I'll die. So the Western concept of time is that time is in one line, it's linear. And once we are born, everything will go in straight line and it will come to an end. However, when we talk about Sanatan, time is very different. Everything is circular, it goes round. For example, if you talk about a year, it has 12 months. If you talk about 1 minute, it has 60 seconds. So everything is round, round, round. Even the weather is going round. So the time is circular where there is no beginning and no end. But in higher states of consciousness, as I mentioned, time is a mental concept. We create our own time, we create our own space, but that doesn't mean that we are not affected. Of course, in sadhana, if you're high, you can go beyond. For example, if I've cut my hand, I will feel that pain and that burning in that space and time. Or if emotionally I'm not well, I'll feel it. But how aware I am and how I understand Maya is where you will go beyond time.
How you understand Maya is where you'll go beyond time.
Yes.
But I'm assuming this understanding of Maya takes very long.
Very, very true because, when we are born, the first thing that we are conditioned is to give naam and roop to everything. That is name and form. Everything has name and form.
One second, let's just sit with that thought. You've said
Yes.
something very heavy. Everything has name and form, especially in your childhood.
And whenever there is name and form, it has an expiry. I'll ask you something. Anything from the childhood that has been constant materially? Do you remember? Anything from a car to a cell phone to a watch, Everything has an expiry date. And we are conditioned to give name and form. And that name and form is also the source of identity. And that is a problem because we get so happy in that name and form, we don't realize that it is temporary.
Identity for what?
Now, suppose if I tell that this is my glass, I have associated with certain identity, that I am myself, this glass is mine. But the problem is, I don't realize in ignorance that this is temporary. Because one day the glass is going to break, one day I'm going to die, one day everything is going to come to an end.
Would you say that all these identifications of your own reality lead to ego growing in a human conscious?
Definitely. You have said something very beautiful called reality. Now, I will throw some light on reality. And I think if you understand this, you have understood the crux of the rishis and the teachings. What our rishis are saying, that reality is something which never changes. And whatever in your life is never changing, that is the only truth. That is the only sat. For example, let me break it down in very simple language. We'll take it in stages, in different states, so that we understand what reality is. Now, if I ask you what is reality for you, you will say that reality is being here, or reality is going back home, or reality is material, emotional, whatever. What the rishis are saying again, reality is that which never changes. For example, simplifying Vedanta. I am hungry. I am fat. Or I will go to Pune. This is what we use in our language day to day. Now what rishis are saying, I am fat. Tomorrow I'll become thin. I am going to Pune. From Pune I'll come back to Mumbai again. I like this. Tomorrow I will not like it. So whenever we say that I am my body, I am my mind, I am my intellect, the rishis are asking us, is your body constant? No, it is constantly changing. Is your mind constant? It is running around in multiple levels. Is your intellect constant? No, you're evolving with time. What is constant? The question comes. That is the reason the concept of time changes. Because the rishis are saying, and of course you will apply in sadhana also, there's only one thing constant in your life. That is the I. Because whenever you are talking, you also say that I was hungry. Hunger has gone. I was feeling fat. Again, the body has changed. That I is the only constant. If you start dwelling and start practicing, you will experience that time as a mental concept.
Got it. Okay. I'm just going to break down what you said a little bit so that I have clarity in exactly what you said. And then you correct me or agree with me based on what I say. So when I look at my hands, and I'd recommend the viewers do this as well, these are the limitations of your physical body. This is where your biology stretches to. Okay. If you go back into the memories of your childhood, it's that same brain and it's those same eyes and the same retina inside your eyes and that same consciousness which was at work absorbing and learning about life. But also you had a few good moments. You did well in a football game. You did well in your exams. You won a competition. It made you feel great, but somewhere you identified more with yourself. You said that, hey, I was able to do this. My hard work got me here. Which it did. Definitely there's an element of free will. So you're saying that Sanatan Dharma, especially the rishis, say that nothing is constant. The suffering is not constant. The good stuff is not constant.
They say that there's only one thing constant. Whatever is changing is Maya. So eyes are changing, retina is changing, hand is changing, the dose of drug is changing, sexuality is changing, emotions are changing. Whatever is changing is Maya. Whatever is not changing, that is the only reality. There's a very beautiful phrase that all of these are passing clouds. I am the sky.
Wow. Okay. All of these are passing clouds. I am the sky.
That means my emotions, my past, my present, my body constantly is passing. I am that sky which is infinite. And that I is the core of existence. It is the core of sadhana. It is the core of being. It is the core and the birthright of humans.
All these conversations we've had over the years on the show with everyone who knows Tantra, who's been on the show, they talk about the fact that the only thing you carry into the next birth is your spiritual advancement. So you go about your sadhana, everything else sheds off. Your health sheds off, money sheds off, fame sheds off. But when you're born again, you'll be blessed with that positive baggage from your previous birth.
Very interesting. Now when you're talking about Tantra, we talk about Ma Kali and Ma Bhuvneshwari. Ma Kali stands for past, present and future.
Ma Kali stands for past, present.
Ma Bhuvneshwari stands for space, the cardinal points.
The what?
Cardinal points, space, all the directions. So when you do sadhana, you realize that they're taking you beyond space, time and causation.
Why did you name these two? Because of time and space?
Because of time and space. And when we talk about time, of course, there is space. Of course, there is, wherever there is time, there is space, because I require certain time and space to reach somewhere. So if I'm coming from here till here, time is required and certain space is captured. But even that is changing. So with that knowledge, if you understand deities and do your sadhana, you will realize that you're just evolving on the path.
Okay, wow. A college kid that's listening to this, or a very young person who's listening to this, or someone who actually does not have much spiritual understanding yet, what value are they supposed to get from these concepts?
So for them, we will break down the conversation, as you mentioned. If you are someone new or a college going, remember that there's only one duty that we have. That's the teachings from the Bhagavad Gita. We have to give the best all the time. Never forget that teaching. Rest all will be taken care of. Secondly, who's completely new into it, there is an understanding in the Gita known as Prasad Buddhi.
Prasad Buddhi.
That means, Buddhi means intellect. Prasad is something that we go to the temple and take. So whatever is happening in your life, take it as a prasad from the divine.
Wow.
If you stick to these two principles, that I will give my best wherever I show up, and I take everything, good, bad, neutral, as a prasad buddhi, automatically you will start moving ahead on your journey. Because the concept of space, time and causation is for high sadhaks. Vedanta is for high sadhak. But that little knowledge should be there.
I have these two friends, okay? I'm not going to name them. But I feel they are suffering a lot in their reality. And they're both good friends. They both deny any conversation related to any aspect of God. They're open to spiritual conversation. They would like to discuss the concept of time, the concept of psychology, and they're both very intelligent people. But they deny God. It's their conditioning from their childhood where, I don't know, either one parent was probably trying to force religion on them, or maybe the parents were also cut from the same cloth.
True.
And I want to introduce them to the books of Om Swami. I want to introduce them to your Instagram page. But the moment they hear the word Kali, Shiva, the word Hindu, and I'm not making this a Hindu thing. Even if they hear the word Christian, Muslim, whatever, anything related to God, God, there's a part of them that immediately switches off. They're like, oh God, this is a religious conversation. I don't want to.
So that is the beauty of Sanatan. Have you heard about Maharishi Patanjali?
Yes.
He is the greatest psychologist. And he is the one who dissected the mind. So for people who don't understand gods or scared or don't have knowledge, he said something very, very clear. And he spoke about human behavior. He said, in order to evolve, you have to understand your behavior. And he said, so-called behavior is dominated by the three gunas. Sattva, Raja, Tamam. You know about it. Now, there are different states that you go through. Okay? Shipta, Vishipta, Muda, Ekagra and Niruddha. Okay? Shipta is when you're hyperactive. You're hyperactive and you're running around. Rajas is at peak. That means you can't even sit at one place. And these people, even they don't believe this, they are going through it. Everyone is going through it. Then he's saying there's another category where at times you are concentrated, but again the mind runs. It goes. For example, for 1 nanosecond I'm aware about something, again my mind is completely gone. For example, I'm craving for a coffee. I have a sip of coffee, and that moment again I'm going in my past or future. Then there's a state of mind where he says you're completely lethargic. You're not interested in anything. You're just lazy. However, he's saying that these three states are constantly messing with you. I'm putting my words, constantly degrading you, making you lethargic. But when you do simple practices like yam and niyam, simple things like discipline, you will become one-pointed. So he's not talking about God. He's saying that your state of mind, you have to change it. And these 5 states, three states we constantly go through. When you do sadhana, or by simple yama niyam, being disciplined, doing some exercise, doing asana pranayam, you will become focused. So he's explaining the same things, but those who don't understand, they should follow Patanjali.
One only understands the power of yoga when one experiences yoga.
Definitely. And that is the reason I recommend everyone, if you don't believe in God, don't just follow the yamas and niyamas. Yam, niyam, and basically just do Surya Namaskar and Pranayam.
Yeah. You know, we live in a hyper practical world nowadays, especially people who listen to podcasts, hyper practical reality in their own heads. The simple angle here, and I'll talk about this as an anecdote from my own life. I started actual stretching and, asanas when I was 26, 27. Because I was getting very injured during football, and I realized it was a lack of flexibility. So I started for flexibility. But every time my yoga session would get over with my instructor, I would feel very, very calm. I almost felt like I am lifting my consciousness beyond my own mind, maybe for that 1-2 hours post the yoga session. That's how you experience yoga.
Yeah, and we contemplate so much. Now you have done it, you enjoy it, you realize that gym is different, and yoga is different, breathing is different, and that experience is talking. Our problem is we just want to pinpoint things and don't want to practice.
Yeah. I think this experiencing things is the greatest gift you can give to yourself in your 20s.
Yeah. That is the greatest thing. Being aware and experiencing your own self.
Yeah. I also feel your 30s, there will be a slightly heavier burden of responsibilities. Your 20s are supposed to be experimental, according to me. Little bit.
That is the reason, again, I'm coming to Patanjali, because he said something very interesting. Satsang and Swadhyaya. Satsang is having like-minded conversations with people, and Swadhyaya is self-study. That is very important to be on track. Otherwise, the mind again creates a lot of drama.
Yeah. You spoke about the 3 modalities of the human mind, Rajas, Sattva, Tamas.
Yes.
In balance, they are all important, right?
They can never be in balance.
It'll always be slightly.
Always be, and that is your sabhava, your behavior.
That is how the human mind is created.
That is great. The 3 gunas are always operating.
And all your bad mental health, all your negative thoughts, self-doubt, anxiety, all these concepts which we have given names to happen as an outcome of having a lack of balance of these 3.
Yeah, let me put it technically. Sattva is a space where you are one-pointedness, you are aware. Rajas is giving you activity, constant movement. And Tamas is a space where you go into darkness. Even in that, there are many combinations, permutations, but going into anxiety is where Rajas and Tamas are working together. Our goal is to be in Sattva. That is the reason you do sadhana.
But what if your Sattva is very excessive?
Then you will move into higher states.
Okay, so
you go beyond Sattva also.
Wow. So the goal is to actually increase your Sattva.
The goal is to actually experience Sattva, but I'll give you a very simple example. When we talk about the 3 gunas, Sattva is like a silver chain. Rajas is like a gold chain, and Tamas is like an iron chain. At the end of the day, all 3 are binding. Even Sattva is binding. A sattvic person wants to make other happy, wants to feel happy, be happy. An enlightened being goes beyond the gunas. He becomes a witness.
Wow.
That is what Bhagavad Gita also preaches.
There's a 4th state
There's
of
a
being.
higher state. That is called the Turiya. An enlightened being is in that. He goes beyond awake, dream, deep sleep. He's operating in the Turiya where he becomes a witness of everything. Participates in everything. Complete participation, complete enjoyment, but no expectation in the game of life.
But his or her consciousness is extremely different than what we experience in human reality.
Extremely. They become masters of acting, and they are established in higher states of consciousness where they have experienced subtle, beyond subtle. It's a state of being.
Yeah. I'm often asked about my own goal in life. And nowadays I've started giving a very quick answer that, hey, everything that I'm doing in my material reality is to enable free time in order to go deeper into my spiritual practices, which will hopefully take me to that point of what human society calls enlightenment in order to go towards that 4th state that you're just talking about. The only way one can actually go there, practically speaking, is if you give time and discipline to those practices.
Yeah, true.
Any other way?
There are many other ways.
Go on.
First way is being aware of a karma. because everything is binding as karma. Secondly, which is the first, is very important, is the knowledge of who am I. I'm not this body, not this mind, not this intellect. There was a great saint here called Nisargadatta Maharaj. He used to live in Chopati, Kirgaon Chopati. He met his guru and his guru just taught him one teaching. Keep on asking yourself, who are you? Like Ramana Maharishi the Great. Whenever we go to his ashram or feel his presence, his beautiful eyes staring and making us realize that nothing is constant. You are that bliss. Now when I'm talking about bliss, is a state where all these great enlightened beings experience. It's called Satchitanand. It's a state where you are in ecstasy. There is no duality. There is nothing.
Is it the same fourth state?
It is the state of Turiya.
Got
Turiya is the highest. Below that, there are many states. God consciousness, animal consciousness, earth consciousness. But the highest is, imagine, Arbha, you are in a state where you have no anxiety, no fear, no mental issues. You are a perfect instrument and you're experiencing unconditional love. It's very rare we talk about it, but I'm sure these great enlightened beings have experienced it.
That is the goal of human life.
That is the birthright. We are already that. The problem is we are covered with Maya. We have conditioned ourselves to the space, time and causation, to names and forms. And if you realize that we are so greedy, we want to associate with something. And when our desire is satisfied, we want something new. Again, we are building up concepts of cause relation. A highly evolved being is just being aware and just participating, but internally completely free.
What can a 22-year-old do right now to at least move towards this reality?
As I mentioned, give their best. Secondly, I think at that age, the mind is so hyperactive, you need tools to calm it down. And thirdly, reading. Basic reading of about existence. And the problem is what I'm realizing now, we are so high with our own goals and intentions, we bind ourselves. Don't bind yourself to anything. So that means if a thought is coming to you, be okay that if this happens, I'm okay. If it doesn't, I'm okay. Keep that attitude. Build that attitude. It will take time.
Slightly anti-manifestation.
Yeah. Klisht and aklisht, Patanjali says.
Klisht and?
Aklisht. Klisht is binding you and aklisht is liberating you. Now, if you are telling me that, Bhavesh, take this gold. Okay? In my mind, okay, if I get it, I'm okay. If I don't get it, I'm free. I'm free. I'm free of that scenario, that space, time and causation. Just simple teaching to start applying. It is difficult. I'm aiming for to becoming an IPS officer. You're working. Keep that awareness. If it happens, I'm okay. If it doesn't happen, something else will open up. Automatically, you will mature. But we can't.
I see a lot of people taking this exact golden advice, and it is golden advice. But I see a lot of people picking up this golden advice and using it as escapism. And in the world of spirituality, it's called spiritual bypassing.
Yes.
They go past a goal-oriented mindset in life. They're like, "Nee, I don't want to achieve my goals. I'll actually just go live in the Himalayas."
Yeah, we call it the Vedantic shuffle. It's called running away from everything and taking away so that you satisfy your own ego. But no, a yogi is a person who's participating in everything, not running away in any scenario. So until you're in the body, nature will not let you rest.
Okay, can I just draw out a tiny instruction manual?
Yep.
For a 22-year-old beginning life?
Yeah.
Okay, and of course this applies to 25, 30-year-olds as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned some guidelines.
Yeah.
So you said your first job is to, you said something that kind of, in my eyes, I read as being kind.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be a good human being. Karma. You said be conscious of your karma.
The greatest sign of a noble being is humbleness. Be humbleness and never think that you are the doer. There's a greater force that is operating. And if you think that you are too smart, just hold your nose and you will come to know that you can't survive. The sun is shining equally for everyone. That humbleness is very important.
So for a 22-year-old, the basis of all forms of growth is humbleness.
Yep.
I also put kindness in the same bracket.
Yes, perfect.
The second is to do your best in the world, which at 22 often means career and family life. Do your best for your parents, do your best at your job.
And one more advice practically. If you don't like something, don't do it.
As in?
Don't be forced by parents or don't be in any situation that you are, because you won't last. Your Swabhava will decide what you want to do.
But also don't use this as an excuse to not work hard.
Perfect. And it's a very fine line. It's a very fine line where we forget.
Yeah. This is actually where most people slip off.
Yeah.
That's
Very fine
where spiritual bypassing begins.
Yes.
The third thing you said is study, read.
Yeah.
You know how I look at spiritual podcasts? They point you towards spiritual books, and spiritual books point your journey towards where it's supposed to go.
True.
Like there is something you'll gain from podcasts.
Definitely.
But it actually should point you towards the books.
Yeah. And it is very strange. We forget things very easily. Because we are now selective surrender. If things are going my way, oh, God is so nice. I always tell this because we go through the process. So that constant reading and constant being aware is very important.
Right. The final 2 steps in my eyes, these are kind of optional. It depends on your own personal journey. Get into the process of yoga. And by that, I don't mean just asanas. Yam, niyam, pranayama, asana, meditation.
It's very important.
And finally, I would say that really take up a sadhana if you can. For me at 22, I used to just sit for 20 minutes, keep my back straight. I couldn't even sit cross-legged well that time. I would just do Om chanting for 20 minutes. It started off something.
Yeah, it's the most powerful sadhana. Yeah. Even the entire text Upanishad says that Om is everything. In fact, if you think this is too much heavy for you and this is too spiritual, a very basic, simple solution is being non-violent in your thoughts. When I say non-violent, it's very, very difficult. Oh, I should not be jealous of R-Bhai. Oh, my brother is getting more money from me. Oh, you know what? Tomorrow I'm not gaining popularity. This is the biggest battle. If you try understanding, you will evolve. And it is very, very difficult. So if you think that, praying to Kali is difficult or Om chanting, be non-violent in your thoughts. Yeah. It will drain you out because you're conditioned again.
I ask the person in front of me often, are you a good person trying to be bad? Or are you a bad person trying to be good? And it's actually a question that you need to sit and really think about. Because it's a very nuanced answer. And very often, I think society conditions us into wanting to say, no, I'm a good person trying to be bad. No, I want to say I'm a bad person trying to be good. No, I'm a good person trying to be bad. And they settle at that because that's societal conditioning. Yeah. But Shikhar Dhawan, when I'd asked him this, he did this. Okay, he went, ooh! He did something like that because he understood the depth of the question.
Yeah.
A reality of growing up in urban centers anywhere in the world. You are taught to be mentally very tough, very street smart to survive in the city and to grow. And then you're also given a moral compass and you're told don't do the wrong things in life. There's a dialogue from Batman Begins where they say that it's not who you are on the inside, but it's your actions that define you.
True.
It's the same thought. You may be bad on the inside. You know the vicious way of going about the world, but you're trying to do the right thing. I think it's kind of similar to what you're trying to say about being non-violent in your thoughts. Yes, there is violence in your thoughts. Acknowledge it. Don't ever act upon it. And eventually transform that inside as well.
Beautiful. Right? Because when you read Patanjali, this is stuck to my heart because it is so practical. He's saying that being non-violent is impossible. Impossible. Accept it.
There is viciousness in human nature.
It is, but try not to. Secondly, what I believe is also the intention. If I am shouting at you, R-Bhai, but my intention is that you evolve, I'm free.
The intention matters.
Intention matters.
And the wish to transform.
Yeah. And the intention, if it is for upliftment of others, you will blossom.
Yeah.
But R-Bhai, you're fabulous. My intention is very, very toxic.
Right.
I'm using such words, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Then no matter what, I am binded. Because nature knows everything. Nature will not leave you.
You know, people who have negative, or I would even say neutral intention in their heart, it often shows up on the face.
Definitely. You can't hide. I can hide from you for 3 times, 4 times. It will come up.
Yeah.
It will come up.
A good practice for end users, and they can do this in their own social circles.
Yeah.
If you are doubtful about a certain person's intention, see a photo of them smiling.
Yeah. You will come to know.
Just keep looking at it. Keep looking at it. And ask yourself what lies beyond the smile. And the way to polish this skill, it's also a podcasting skill, honestly, where you observe humans very deeply. The way to polish this skill is that you have certain people in your life who you know very deeply. You know their characters inside out. Maybe a relative, maybe a friend. See a photo of them smiling, especially the ones where you know that this person is a good human being and their intentions are clean. and see a bunch of good human beings in your own circle, their smiles are often representations of good intention. And do this obviously with the people who you know have been slightly twisted in their life.
True.
You'll be able to develop some kind of pattern recognition in your head, which will protect you throughout your 20s.
True. True. And I also believe that at times when you are around people, you just come to know with time. They will hide it for 3 times, 4 times, but 5th time it will just come to you.
Yeah. I think one of those experiences one has again in their 20s is understanding which people give you energy and which people take energy from you.
True.
And the goal of life is to hang out with people who give you energy.
You know, there's a very beautiful state that we go in 20s. And personally, I believe, don't get attached to the experiences. It is a learning process. I've seen many people, whatever's happened in 20, till 20 and also they are stuck in the 24, 23. They don't let go of that. And that's a major problem. And it is not the end of life. But you have planned your life in such a way in your head. Again, you are binded to situation.
Are you okay if I ask you your age?
I am 36.
36. So 6 years in your 30s.
Yep.
I'm sure you have friends who you know from childhood.
I have childhood friends. They have changed. But now I have some very good sadhaks around who...
What do you observe about people in their 30s?
You know, if you're talking from a normal point of view or from a sadhak point of view. From a normal point of view, I think during 30s, there's too much of stress with their savings, with their money, with their lifestyle, with their future. They're completely entangled. And they think that they have to rush into something. Settle down, settle down, settle down. I've seen with many people that I know.
You know, we spent 2 hours talking before. I was trying to iron out my own challenges of being in my 30s with you to bring up this chapter on our episode today.
Yeah.
So that I don't have to trauma dump in front of the world. I can do it outside.
Yeah.
I want to talk about 30s a little bit because I'm seeing one positive thing, which is that almost everyone I know is having more conversations about health and evolution.
Yeah. See, internal battles are different, professional battles are different, and worldly battles are different completely. But that is the reason, you know, in 30s also people change and you are changing. And also the experiences that you're going through is either taking you to other levels or also putting you back in your past. It's a very crucial time. That is the reason a good friend circle, sadhana, and I think common sense is required at times.
Yeah. You know, I speak for my own friend circle here, but I think I speak for a lot of friend circles of people in their 30s because I view this a lot. The core friend groups get even closer in their 30s because you've really seen human beings by this point.
Yeah.
And you almost come together from a sense of fear and a sense of, damn, bro, the world is like a dirty place. I want to hang out with you guys.
Yeah.
Like, it's a sad reality of human life.
For a survival of any relationship, there's only one ingredient, that is communication at a very practical level. You need to communicate.
You know, and this same emotion that we're talking about right now, this trials and tribulations of your 20s and challenges of your 30s, this is what made me want to talk about time to you today because I'm getting more and more aware of aging through little things. Like I've started getting more gray hairs and I'm like, oh, okay, this is what it feels like. Like, because in my head, I'm still in first standard.
Yeah.
And I'm still 6 years old.
Yeah. That.
I'm still 18 as well. I'm still in 5th grade as well. But my hair's graying, my knees are unhealthy. There's stuff happening. So I'm like, it feels like when, you know, t-shirt starts becoming old and you see that hole in the t-shirt for the first time.
Yep.
But this is the body version of it. And your soul's like,
Yeah.
can't wait for that next life where I'm given a new young body and it's more flexible again.
See, you know, the thing is, once the mind starts thinking, it just creates threads. Numerous threads. That is the reason that understanding that nothing is permanent should always be there.
Yeah.
That underlining knowledge should always be there. That will save you. Save you from your own miseries that you're creating. And with time, when you mature, you realize nothing is in your hands. Nothing. You plan out so many things, but what is in your hand? The satisfaction that no one can take away. That is in your hand. And that you'll get when you do things with complete awareness.
What was that thing you mentioned about the Bhagavad Gita? The
Prasad Buddhi.
Prasad Buddhi.
That is very, very important. Bhagavad Gita is so practical teachings, you don't need to, you just have to apply it. That whatever I'm getting, I will take it as a prasad, but I will play my role 100%. Otherwise, you're coming into again the shuffle.
What is the playing my role 100% aspect of things?
Playing my role 100% aspect is that, in whatever condition I am placed, I'm placed there because of my own karma. Secondly, whatever I am placed in any situation, the reaction depends in my hands. If I respond, I am free. And third, deep inside, you know you're doing justice or no. If you have these three things in your head, you are clear. You can handle any situation in the world, practically.
One of the ways I connected with Shiva more, especially in my mid to late 20s, was filling the gap that I felt through Shiva's presence.
You know, when you start worshipping Shiv, in my personal experience, he's Bholenath. He's just, when you chant and you just surrender, he will look after you. Not like ferocious deities. He's very, very shant, very, very caring. And he's one of those gods that you call out, he'll come first. Yeah. I had an experience when I was not doing a sadhana. I got an experience of his Rudra Roop. And then I realized that yes, he has many forms. And one more time, anytime when I think I'm very hoity-toity or have some ego, he will crush me down. Always in a good way. But he has different forms.
Is Bhairav and Shiva one and the same?
In higher states, they all are one. All are one. All are one.
Shiva is the same as Krishna.
All are one. The ways, has Thakurji said, Jota Maut Tota Paat. Different beings, different ways to worship. But we all come from the same source. That is the reason that I is always constant. And I have realized I have done Krishna sadhana for a very long time. Then I have done Shiv sadhana. All Bhagwan's ways, they all are one. But Swabhava is different of different deities. And you attune to that Swabhava.
You attune to that Swabhava.
That means the more you practice, you will realize that deities have their own Swabhava.
If I had to ask you the traits of Bhairav's presence.
When I started doing Batuk Bhairav sadhana, I realized it's very protecting.
Okay.
Very protecting, very nurturing. Very nurturing. But this is how I project him. But when I do Kali sadhana, it is different. She's ferocious. She'll make me dance to her tunes. Make me realize that she is in charge of things and I'm just an instrument. Which is very good because the ego rises anytime. You think you're very special anytime.
How does she get annoyed?
If I lack my sadhana. And again, if there is any pride, these deities will push you down. That is the reason holding on to Vedanta is very different. And we slip into it. That I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi, I will not do anything. No, you have to participate. The role has to be played. And association with a deity is giving that comfort that there is someone looking after you always.
Sometimes will the deity force you to reduce the sadhana because of whatever?
Depending upon your sanskaras, once you completely surrender, the deity will do everything. If you have that kind of bhakti, then even talking becomes a sadhana. Imagine that Arba, you are in a state that completely have left it to Bhairav. So the mic is Bhairav, you are Bhairav, the questions are Bhairav, your life has become a sadhana. So the mantra coming also Bhairav and going is also Bhairav. You don't have to worry about it because you become an instrument. When you start thinking, space and time comes, then we lose connect.
Time
is it's very difficult to understand. We just get very deluded all the time. We forget that we are not this time.
Let's speak about Mahakal a little bit. Let's begin by speaking about the Ujjain temple.
Yep.
Okay, that's honestly my introduction to Mahakal.
Yeah.
Why? Because my idol went there and said Jai Mahakal, and I saw a change in his fortunes also. His fortunes are already crazy, but went to another level for Virat Kohli. So let's begin with the temple and then expand Mahakal from there.
Mahakal, we'll talk about our experience. We were in Mahakal and it is a space which will take you beyond time. It is Shiv personified as the essence beyond time. That when I talk about Mahakal, we realize in Ujjain we were just running, and we realized that we are just dancing to his tunes. So the concept of time just dissolves there completely. And that is the only Jyotirling in the world where you do Bhasma Aarti. It's a constant reminder that nothing is in your hands.
What is that?
Bhasma Aarti. Originally, in earlier times, they used to do from the Smashan, they used to get Bhasma and they used to do Bhasma Aarti in the night. Ashes, yeah. Human cremated ashes.
Oh.
But now they do it with sandalwood and cow dung and everything. So that Aarti and even that temple is so powerful. It's an experience. I would personally recommend that whenever you go to Ujjain, just sit cross-legged and just be. Do your job and just be. Get that essence, pull that energy and of Shiv in that form.
Is there some truth in the fact that you're not supposed to sleep when you go to Ujjain?
I think if you're very highly sensitive sadhak, you will realize a lot of things. We can't generalize it because, and I believe that any spiritual place, I tell this and I have experienced, only when the deity calls you, you can go. Otherwise, your call will not change. So if Mahakal has called you, that means your call is about to change spiritually. And when spiritually things change, everything will change materially also, emotionally also.
I think hard work needs to be a very core part of one's existence. Otherwise, life is going to punish you going forward.
Karma yoga is very important.
Yeah.
If the human body is given, action is very, very important for people living in this space.
With the base of what I just said, that hard work should be like breathing. That shouldn't be a question, Beyond that, I feel that the success that you gain through hard work is not just because of the hard work. It's actually because of your spiritual growth.
Definitely.
How kind you are.
Yeah.
How nuanced your decision making is.
Your success or anything depends upon the hard work. It will turn out to be fruitful if you're doing it as an offering.
Yeah.
To that divine.
Yeah.
So I'm doing this podcast for the divine. I'm doing everything. It's a very high state to be in because if for a nanosecond things don't go your way and you forget everything, again you're binded to karma. Clished, again binding. So attitude, your intention, and I think in higher states you just do it with love. That is the solution for everything. Unconditional love.
You're talking about attaching love to your professional work, right?
Doing it as an offering for the divine and enjoying the process.
Yeah. It's such a challenging thing for a person in their early 20s to actually wrap their head around, because go on.
Yeah, early 20s, a simple solution is first see what you want to do in your life.
Yeah.
Understand your sabhava.
Yeah. You're saying a very practical thing here, right?
Very practical.
I remember, so my first internship in college was in mergers and acquisitions in Ernst & Young, okay? I worked as a financial analyst. And I was very grateful to be in that EY office. It was a swanky office. Yeah. And I was like, dude, this is a big blessing that I'm here. First, I thank you to God my first day. And I stayed there, learned a lot, saw the corporate world, had a lot of respect for it. It was that whole energy of that office is actually a guru for me even today. I bow my head down to that phase of my life. This was when I was 20 or 21. But I do remember this one feeling I used to have, which is that about a month or two into that internship, I had a friend called Devendra. He was a family friend who also happened to be interning at that. Yeah. And the only reason I wanted to go to office was to spend time with Devendra and then learn alongside him. But the feeling I used to have while entering that office was, wow, can't wait for 5 p.m. when I get to exit.
Yeah.
That's the universe's way of saying that this is an experience, this is not where you belong.
See, you have taken this maturely. Now with time you have realized this has happened. Your sabhava is doing this. And the more you do it with your sabhava and enjoy it, automatically nature will push you ahead.
Yeah. Parallelly, when I started training people for money, before YouTube began, I would approach training with a very... I loved that job. I was making good money also as a 22-year-old because of that. I was making more money than I would have made in any of my engineering college placements. People were laughing at me. Like that, oh, you did engineering. And there was a lot of psychological trauma I had to face in that phase. But I enjoyed training. I could do it for the rest of my life. I really like helping a younger person.
Yeah.
And I had some teenage clients and all that. Just I looked at it as a younger sibling that I want to help your body. And that extended into BeerBiceps being a fitness channel because it was effectively that.
Yeah.
The feeling I had with that professional aspect was, it felt like a plant. It didn't feel like a task. Felt like I just want to keep giving this water.
Nurturing it, yeah.
I want to nurture this. And long hours of work didn't feel like that.
Yeah. Because you're enjoying it, no?
Yeah. That's what people need to look for on a professional level in their early 20s.
And I think these 20 or 25 are so pressurized in society and having a status or having this. Later they regret.
Yeah.
So contemplate what you enjoy the most.
You know, and the truth is that there are certain fields that are perceived to be glamorous. This field included content creation, sports, films. All the people who matter in these fields, the decision makers, are all looking for young people to work with, and they're not being able to find them.
Yeah.
And the young people don't even try entering these fields out of a place of self-doubt.
Yeah.
You know, but it's about extending yourself. Send emails out.
Yeah.
Try getting in touch with people.
There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of unknown territory.
The reason I'm saying this is this nurturing aspect of watering the plant when it comes to career. People don't experience that reality because they just think that, hey, I won't get paid in those kind of jobs. That's not true. There is money to be made. And I think money is a good thing to chase when you're in your early 20s.
Yeah, the thing is, no, the fear is to jump in. Once you jump in only, then you'll know how to swim. We don't want to jump in. We contemplate. We just create a lot of things.
The reason you and me are talking about this very hyper practical career angle in a tantra based podcast is because this is actually a box one needs to tick to enable all the spiritual stuff.
Yeah, true.
Like first, settle your own capitalistic mind.
And more than that, no, you have to go through the grind. You can't experience things when you can't go through it. So unless I've burnt my hand, I'll realize the sensation of what it is. So it's a process, you go through it.
There's a reason that even this topic is choosing to split this fabric of reality around us and enter this conversation. Because there's a lot of young people listening to this conversation who probably understand Aghore only from the perspective of media. And that's fine. At least that knowledge has reached them. I would point them towards an author called Robert Svoboda, who we have hosted on the show. He's written a trilogy, Agora 1, 2, 3. Very detailed, difficult to read book. Try reading it. We've also recorded podcasts with him. So if you're not a reader, go listen to those podcasts. But my question to you is, why has this entered this Gen Z spirituality?
Because, people are attracted to things that gives them kicks. They don't want the long step-by-step method of going into yam niyam, then doing mantra chanting, then getting a guru, no, they want shortcut, but they don't realize this shortcut is hell. If you just read or just, get, and an actual Aghore will know. There are many Aghores that I've met who dress normally. We don't even come to know the Aghore. I had an interaction in Kashi. Later I got to know when I saw him and I'm like, okay. Then I realized that we know nothing about them. Because what is projected on TV is holding a kapal, running like this. They are very well educated. And that man was so well spoken, traveled the world, taken the path, and come into this because their karma and their situation have dragged them into this. If I tell you just leave tomorrow, if I tell a so-called Gen Z, okay, pack everything, leave, step out in the mountains, start walking, they won't. You need to jump into it to realize it.
Where do you live the majority of your life?
It has been distributed in many, many parts. But I would say in the mountains, yes.
Mountains.
Yes.
I think it's very important for Indians. Every Indian should visit the mountains.
Everyone should. Definitely. At least once. You realize how life is.
Say more.
Because, especially for people living in metro cities, we are very comforted in our own space, given. You step in the mountains, you'll realize how life is, how nature is harsh, how you realize that you have to survive. Not proper mountains, not even Rishikesh. Rishikesh is luxury. When you go step out ahead, you'll come to know that. And you'll also realize one important thing, that we are very blessed. We are humans. We can act, we can perform, we can think, and we can evolve.
Because of the mountains, you realize that.
The nature will teach you.
Yeah.
Because here everything is McDonald's call pay. This call pay. That you have to do your own thing.
I remember my first trip to the mountains was with a very close friend group from school and my best friend Nandini. we were just sitting and looking at the mountains. Okay, this was a Kasol Tosh trip.
Yeah.
This was at age 23.
Yeah.
We saw these massive mountains in front of us. Okay, and there was a moment at night where the moonlight was falling on them, and you could see like the cracks in the mountains and possible caves. And we all just paused collectively as a friend group, and she said that just look at how many secrets are present right in front of us. And that's such an important sentence, because as you travel through the mountains, you realize that mountains are not the places where you choose to just be in one location. You have to sit in your car and go around and discover the secrets.
True.
How many secrets are there in India, according to you? I think you're the right person to be asked this question.
I personal experiences are many, and every time when we experience, we think we know nothing. Just sharing, not a personal experience. We were in Gomukh, and in the night, it was one of the best nights. Not spiritually, but talking with our all Adivida members, and we looked up and we saw shooting stars. We saw the Saptarishi Mandala, and we were like, "What is this? This is another world."
What is Saptarishi Mandala?
The Saptarishis, we say they have come from the stars, so they form a specific rectangular mandala which you can see it, and it's very, very visible. And every mountain is different. The mountains in Nepal are different. Kailash is different. Rishikesh is different. Himachal is different, and you feel the energy is different. You feel it, like those who know it.
Different gifts as well.
Different gifts as well, yes. And they're scary also. They make you realize how small you are and insignificant. I would recommend that, we are very secure with money, with security, with cell phones. Go for a trip. If you're you don't know what a yatra is, just pack your bags. Go to Gomukh, explore. You will realize that you're so gifted. You have so many things. You'll also realize that nature is constantly supporting you if you just flow.
Yeah. A CA had once asked me, why do people even go to the mountains? And he was fairly older than I am.
Yeah.
And my answer at that point was, because it's the best form of nature. And then he's like, no, but I've never done a vacation where I've really seeked out nature. I always I go to cities.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to say, because how do you explain the joy of being out in nature?
You can't explain. It's, we were in Kedar, and there was one point where we could see Kedar, we could see the Ice Peak mountain, we could see the multiple stars, and we were like, we have wasted so many years, we are not experiencing this.
Practically speaking, away from the depth, it's very affordable as a trip.
Yeah, it is.
Like, you'll be able to explore the mountains with very less money.
Yeah, and I would say that don't use those fancy choppers and all. Go travel local. You will realize how local people are humble. You will realize everything. And I think such experience is more important than studying books or running behind exams.
Yeah. You know how World Cups happen every 4 years?
Yeah.
I think 4 years is a sweet spot in terms of self-evolution as well. I'm going to ask you a very peculiar travel-oriented question, which is useful for young people. If I give you a timeline of 4 years, where they can do a trip to the Himalayas every single year, can you draw out a roadmap that will help them evolve as human beings?
See, honestly speaking, every mountain has good side and bad side. Yeah, because humans are everywhere. Every mountain where you go has a spiritually uplifting side. At the same time, it has everything which you don't want to get involved with. If you're starting your trip, I would say start with Rishikesh. It's a good space to be in. Don't go to Kasoli, don't go to Dharamshala. You will land up doing other things and the mind will get diverted easily. Go to Rishikesh. If you actually depends. Now, if you're inclined towards Shiv, I would definitely say do Kedarnath, do Adi Kailash. If you want to do something which is challenging, go to Hemkund Sahib. Just go outside your comfort zone. If you want to do something very, very challenging, go to Rudranath. But take the journey. Start with something very small, and I think Kedarnath is good to start with.
What is challenging about those yatras?
Oh, you have to do it in a day. We were in Hemkund Sahib, one of the most beautiful experiences because oxygen goes less. And you have to go in the morning, and by 3 o'clock, they will push you down because you can't stay there.
Okay.
It gets very difficult.
Bitter weather.
Better weather, oxygen problem, no other issues. So you go, take darshan and come back. And that is something which is mentally difficult also. And of course, only when the deity calls, you can go.
That is the sadhana.
That is the
difficulty.
sadhana, definitely. I always say that any yatra that we did Kedarnath recently, I was planning for a year, it was not possible. In 10 days, we planned everything. And we realized that all the doors were opening because the deity was calling us. And it is a mental test because at any point of time, you will be stuck. There'll be a problem. There you'll have no water. And it is a beautiful journey. But when you go to the Kshetra and you be there, you will be charged like a battery again.
Oof.
You will be charged again. That is the reason all these Jyotirlings and everything are so powerful.
The statement you said, you'll be charged like a
You'll be
battery.
charged
Is
again.
something one only understands when one experiences.
Yeah, like when we go to Kashi, we visit Bhairav Baba, we go to Jyotirling, Kashi Vishwanath, we are charged. We are charged. And you know it. You know it. And that energy comes back again, sustains again you go. But in higher states, if you're talking from a Vedantic point of view, you don't need to go anywhere because everything is within you. But we are not there. Those who are there, they don't travel, but you will realize how the battery charges. And there are very strange stories. I've seen people living in Rishikesh. They have not been to not been to Kedarnath yet because there's no calling. And I've seen people coming from Bangalore, from Hyderabad, 4 or 5 days. Amazing how the deity calls.
Can I take you back to that 4-year timeline?
Yep.
So
Rishikesh, you have to do. See, depending upon the spiritual calling, especially you're talking about mountains, I would say do Rishikesh, do Badrinath, do the Pancha Kedar also. Very interesting. This is where Shiva had taken the form of a buffalo and there are 5 Pancha Kedar. I would say do Adi Kailash. And if you actually into it, Kailash is the highest.
Okay. I'm also going to have a go at it.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll explain why.
Yeah.
For each
Because I want to know your point of view. Yeah.
I think that if you wish for your own personal spiritual evolution as well as life evolution, the mountains are a must in your 20s, especially if you're Indian. First and foremost, Rishikesh is my pick as well because it's got the right kind of amenities to make the mountain seem friendly.
Point.
And it's a base for you to experience the blue Ganga, Kunjapuri Mata Mandir, etc.
Perfect.
The Gufa?
Vashisht Gufa.
Vashisht Gufa.
Yes.
Very nice first mountain trip. So this is the second one, that Tosh, Kheer Ganga, Kasol region. Go see nature. Go see the beauty that God has created. Because the landscapes and the flora there, it's like nowhere else in India. And I've traveled through Kashmir as well. The third one I would point people towards is the general Kangra area. Because of there's too many secrets. There's too many things to do.
I was blessed to have some great encounters with great saints in Kangra. So it is another territory and the mountains are huge.
There's such energetic differences in different parts of Kangra. Dharamshala is accessible. If you want the party cafe vibe, go up to Dharmkot. But for me, one of the benefits of being in Kangra is closely observing Tibetan Buddhism. Like, we're blessed in India to have that presence of Tibetan Buddhists.
It's very strong there. It should be there.
And the fourth place I'd point people towards, I want to say Kedarnath, but we saw all the videos of it being overcrowded. Which is why perhaps I would point them towards Nepal.
Nepal is something, it's like, if you go to Nepal, go there for a month.
Because
you do sadhana there. You observe the place. You understand it has everything. It has Shakti Peeths, it has Bhairav, it has just being there. So it's another, Kashmir, Nepal, the other dimensions if you touch into and start living it.
And if for whatever reason you are not inclined to visiting the mountains but you still want spiritual evolution, just go to Banaras.
Banaras is like home. Many people don't like Banaras because it's too much for them. Oh, it's dirty, it is like this, it is overly crowded. But I think if you start walking on the path, you will be dragged to Banaras at one point of time in your life. Yes, definitely.
I adored my trip to Vrindavan as well. But I faced this psychological challenge in Vrindavan.
Yeah.
That because of the layers of humanization,
Yes.
I was not able to exactly absorb the nucleus of it, but it was important. I went to the Radharaman temple.
Beautiful. My first encounter of Vrindavan was with my guru, and I can't remember. It's Tatya Guru Tatya Swami. There was a guru who lived there, never left that space, and he has taken samadhi there. There are no lights in the ashram; they're only diyas, and I was like, everything is same. Like, wow.
Yeah. Again, I don't know why this happened to me in Vrindavan. On my first day, I went to a riverside aarti.
Yeah.
And this was the 1 week in the year where a lot of bugs are going through breeding season.
Yeah.
There were so many bugs like at the aarti. They were doing the aarti. There was like this blue neon light
Yeah.
because it was already very ethereal.
Yeah.
But there were so many bugs that they were entering our ears, our nose, our mouth.
Yeah.
The people who lived in Vrindavan, they were still okay with being there.
Yeah.
But it was almost like that aarti pushed us out of itself.
Comfort zone. Yeah. And yet people do it there.
There are this is what people need to understand about India travel.
Yes.
You know, even with foreigners, I tell them to visit India, but when they ask me where, first I do a personality test on them.
You have to, otherwise
But one shouldn't just seek out 5-star hotels and
you should not.
Instagram friendly locations.
And more than that, to experience a place, what we do is we live locally. We be local. And if you're doing a yatra specifically, don't just go to the temple and come. Stay there for minimum 3 to 4 days to understand the place.
And ask the deity for experiences.
Yes. And always have that surrender that the deity will take care. That underlying knowledge should be there. Otherwise, you won't. In fact, very strange that we were in one night dragged to Tarapeeth. First experience.
In Kolkata?
Yeah. Very strange. So, you'll realize in sadhana, the deity will also drag you and get it done. If that understanding is there, then it will become a successful because you are in surrender. And things will open up, help will come. In one day, morning 6 o'clock, we went to Tarapeeth, did our sadhana and came back again the same night. And the road was horrible, but we knew that it is being done. That attitude should be there for such places.
This is such a potent piece of information that we have dispelled in this podcast.
Yeah, and more than that, it's good we are opening up for people, especially for generation who is new and they want to jump into it. Yeah. And one should not act cool, go into smashan, do agori and all. No, you start surrendering. It will come. Actually, the journey will take.
Yeah. Let's close this travel chapter.
Yes.
This is enough.
Yep.
Because if we can keep going on.
Yeah, true.
But it's a very good call to action.
Yeah.
We've given good options here. And whoever wants to now benefit from this will take this information and move forward. Which is why we come back to the base topic of time.
Yep.
How is one supposed to view aging? Because honestly, even at my age, I miss my childhood.
2 things I'm understanding. First, we have to come into acceptance that we are going to die. You're not a Chiranjeevi. I'm not a Chiranjeevi. We are going to die. Secondly, you will accept aging and childhood when you're living that thing 100%. And that happens with time. You mature with time. And third is if you let go of your past. 3 things. If that accumulates together, then you will realize you're at peace. Otherwise, you'll never be in peace.
What is letting go of one's past?
Accepting everything that has happened and taking responsibility that it is not God's doing or others' doing. You are responsible because you have not taken the right decision. And you're suffering because, at one point of time, you are placed in situations where you know it is wrong, yet you do it. And later you regret. So that awareness, I don't want to do, let it go, should come.
What you're saying is very important life advice in terms of taking responsibility for the outcomes that your life has given you. Yes. There is a counter question here asked by people because I've spoken about this concept publicly. The counter question is, what about the external negative stimuli that happened in childhood, which you were not in control of?
See, this question comes to us also a lot. That, why this has happened to me? I've gone through so much. But in this aspect, when I talk about karma or karma, then it will be justice nahi ho raha hai, because they won't register that has happened to me. But if you have taken a human body and you're going through something, you have to go through the process. The mental conditioning that has happened has to be changed. So if you have gone through a process of something which is not in the norms of the society, come into acceptance.
Yeah. And this is not us removing empathy from this conversation
Yes,
at all.
there is nothing. And life is going to drag you. You're not the only person that is going through it. People are going to other things. So don't become a victim, because the victim attitude is the biggest downfall, even in a normal journey of life.
Can we talk about this victim attitude from a Sanatan Dharma perspective?
I hear that a lot, that I've been praying to Shiv for so many years, but I'm not getting a job. I've been doing this sadhana, I'm not getting this. You're not doing it because your intention is not there. And it is very easy to become a victim. Very easy. That is the easiest way to cover a ego. And it may sound very, very this, that how is it possible? But the high ego, you're tested with your ego. A lot.
What did you say? The intention is not there.
The victim attitude is that I hear so many people messaging us saying that, oh, I've done so much of thing, but Shiva is not listening to me, Kali is not listening to me, Shiva is angry with me. No, he's not angry. You are not satisfied. You're expecting a lot. You're coming into victim. You just do your best. The fruits. That is the main teaching of Bhagavad Gita. Prasad Buddhi. Again. One more thing is very clear. If I have done my best at one point of time, what more can I do? Leave it. That satisfaction, no one can take it. And I know I've done this. The result will be given to you what you deserve.
Yeah. I keep repeating this on so many episodes, but the divine registers hard work.
Definitely.
If you feel in your heart that you're working hard, it's registered up there.
Definitely. Your intention, your action is, of course. And the present action that you're doing also is giving you certain results, good or bad, depending upon your actions now. You can't run away from the law. No matter who you are, human body laws are there.
Which Bhagavad Gita would you point the users to?
I would point whatever I have learned is from my guru's Bhagavad Gita.
Vanamalima?
Vanmalima, yeah. She writes beautifully and she has written Nitya Yoga. Simple language, easy to understand, but the problem is we forget.
What is Nitya Yoga?
Nitya Yoga is a constant union. Nitya means union of the individual self with the Supreme Self. So she has written commentaries on that. And whenever I read it, I'm again charged, but again we forget with time. So the habit of reading it should be there.
Yeah. I'm wearing a Whoop which like monitors my heart rate, and it's like a fitness band for lack of better words. Whenever I'm podcasting, it could be a bad guest also. Okay. But obviously that happens rarely. Mostly it's great guests. My stress levels fall heavily on my app. My heart rate actually drops a lot. I'm in a very relaxed state of being.
It's a good state of being.
Yeah. I feel very stressed out outside of the podcast room, as you've seen today, and since you've known me as well. My challenge at this point is, how do I bring that Nitya Yoga to that part of life, which is outside flow state?
It will come. It is coming. But the problem is, you know what? Just in this scenario, the higher you are going, the higher the challenges are being placed in. That is the struggle, and that will also come. It will become okay. You will realize how to handle it. You'll realize how to tackle it. And you're much, much better. I say this all the time because now I'm closely associated watching you throughout the day. And in fact, you have spent an entire day together. So I'm realizing you're enjoying the process yet. And whatever I've seen you closely and understood, you're operating a big, massive team. So your sadhana. And I've realized a change in your language. Oh, Bhairav will take care. I'm doing my best. So it is happening.
It happened because of meeting people like yourself.
No. It is all his Leela. We are just instrument. Never you forget that you are not the doer. I am not the doer.
Om Bhairavaya Namah.
Let it flow. You may seem or you may think that it is going wrong, but that great cosmic intellect knows everything.
I wonder what the divine's relationship with human difficulty is. What is God's relationship with the difficulty he throws towards us?
From a very high point of view, there is no difficulty. Our mind creates difficulty because things are not going our way. In divinity, everything is a whole picture. So when you let go, there is nothing to be worried about because Gangama is always flowing. It merges in the end. So even if there's a block, if there's a rock, there's a body, she will just go through it. But if we think that we are the body blocking it, if we think we are the rock, there's a difficulty. And you know, something very important that you also mentioned. At the age of 22, be good humans. That is the crux. Be good humans first. Then run to agoris or this or that. Be good humans. Understand that the problem is within you. Your jealousy, your anger. Stop blaming, pushing others. Be good humans.
Out of all the episodes we've done, this is the one where we've mentioned Tantra the least.
Yes. And there is so much to talk about. Always I say that there are so many things. And I'm liking that we are addressing young people. And Tantra is a small aspect. There is Vedanta, there is Bhakti, there is Koshas, there is Upanishad, there is so much. Why people are... Tantra is good only if you have a guru. Again, I come to that. Or you have right knowledge. Because the higher you rise, the harder you fall in Tantra.
Why is this knowledge coming through this episode? The world needs this?
I think the world needs it, and I think the way we are interacting, a lot of young people are inclined. And they need some... No one is talking about foundation.
Foundation.
How to start my journey with. No one's talking about that.
Everyone's talking about mantra jap.
Yes.
And
So even before mantra, there are phases that a person has to go through reach mantra. Now, I think that is the reason. Now we are flowing. Yeah. So even if I chant Om Namah Shivaya or Bhairava Nama, I need to know few things. I need to be sattvic. I need to have some discipline. I need to wake up on time. Yeah. I think the foundation is required. Yeah.
A foundation-oriented conversation.
Yeah.
It's so weird how cyclic content is. This was the kind of conversations I used to have in year 1.
Yeah.
And I almost felt like, damn, there's no market for this anymore. And this is such an enriching conversation.
There is because we have been talking so much about detail aspects. People are still craving for basic things that, how can I work on my jealousy? How can I let my job go? How if someone cheated on me, I should be okay? We get such questions even now.
Yeah. Let's open up one of these.
Yeah.
This is what I have been told is a very Gen Z thing.
Yeah.
See, I actually I work with only Gen Zs primarily.
Yeah.
And there's a vibe in that as well, because it's a lot of young energy and a lot of intelligence. I am told by a lot of them that a lot of people in their generation are run by FOMO-driven culture, fear of missing out.
Yeah.
And that's very obvious because social media is showcasing the highlight reels of other people. You think that that's a reality. Those people are also suffering.
Everyone is suffering.
For context, people think my life is stunning. You're my bro beyond this. Like you've seen what we go through.
I have spent an entire day with him bonding. He is struggling. We all are struggling. His struggles are other levels. So life is different.
Now that we've set that context, I really want to talk about this FOMO angle. There's apps that have come out where you can rent video footage from happening concerts and happening clubs in your city, upload it onto your story so it looks like you were present at those concerts and those clubs. Like, I have so much to say here, but I actually want to approach this very empathetically. Over to you.
What I believe? It is two important things. It is that you want to show people that you exist. And you want some kind of recognition that I am there. Secondly, loneliness.
I think loneliness is a layer beneath these two.
Yes. So we want to be there and it's a very dark phase because that is the reason love is also conditioned. Very, very conditioned, and we try to seek attention. So these are way of seeking attention, but beneath that is loneliness and acknowledgement that I exist.
So is loneliness the root cause of this?
I think it is a package of fear, loneliness, rejection, and people are scared of being lonely. If I tell someone to just be in a room, they can't even stay there for half an hour.
Do you think, one layer deeper, do you think that this is because people run away from what's actually gone on in their life?
Definitely. And I have realized that people have a fear to confront nowadays.
Sure.
They don't want to confront.
Sure. Themselves?
Yeah. Two things, I believe, very stupid it is, but it is true. What the other person is going to think and what is their status and what the society will think. And that has ruined very practically I'm talking about what is happening. confrontation. And that is the reason, again, communication is very important for any relationship.
How do we solve for loneliness on a personal level? Like if I am a lonely 22-year-old who is feeling FOMO, wants those expensive sneakers, can't afford it, wants that expensive car, can't afford it, wants to be at that expensive concert, can't afford it. My actual problem is loneliness, right?
Yeah, this is a major problem. I think at that age, the parents play an important role. Secondly, at that age, we need someone to communicate with. And thirdly, spiritual knowledge is important. Without that, people forget, young people at 50, 60 are feeling lonely, having so many experiences.
Oh, that's a whole other gamut.
That's another, they have experienced life. And when the children tell them that you're feeling, they're not in acceptance because they think that they have seen more life. Yeah, it's a vicious cycle, you know. So that right knowledge of is very important.
You know, I don't like saying this, but it's a sad decade right now.
It is, but time will change. At one point of time, it is people are like this. At the other time, there is a rise in awareness, rise in spirituality, rise of people want to do things. And at the same time, there's too much of information.
Yeah.
Too much of information.
You know, the only solution in all this is to go back to the foundational blocks.
That is.
Be kind, do your best, read spiritual thought.
Yeah.
Can I add in a little negative input here?
Yeah.
Cut off the wrong people from your life.
Yeah.
So important, man.
You know, I've realized, you know that the person is bad, but you can't let go because you are attached to that person.
Yeah.
There's no acceptance. But I think one kick and one nudge on the head at that point is very important.
Yeah.
That cut off.
If you can't cut off someone, at least distance yourself.
Yeah.
Like if someone's causing you jealousy.
Yeah.
If someone's causing jealousy in you because of their own jealousy, someone's projecting their own insecurities.
People do that. People push it and make you come in guilt and come in very emotional stages.
Yeah, your own loneliness is a swamp that you've been pushed into because you've chosen the wrong people before the loneliness began.
That is the reason I tell everyone, one arm distance with everyone.
Yeah.
Because there's a very fine line of entering your space and just knowing you.
What do you do to solve your loneliness when you can't expand your social circle?
That is the thing, no, whoever you're close to, just talk it out. That is the first way to let it out. The problem is we are even scared to come out and talk about it. This is what I believe. So talk, just let it out. But again, you know, if I am sharing, then, oh, what will they think? Oh, I've become weak. Just talk it out, let it out. And, you know, at that age, the mind is influenced so easily. So easily. That is the reason. Go step out, do, run, jog. Let that energy come out, talk it out. And I'm sure right people come if just hold on.
Like religion is effectively psychology for many, many generations of human beings.
True.
This is a generation that's forgotten
the roots.
Yeah. And I think that's why you've also grown the way you've grown on social media, because you answer exactly this question. That I'm sure you have lots of people on your page who at one point fought for carnivore diet, fought for veganism, fought for feminism, fought for men's rights. And they're like, no, I don't know why, but Bhavesh Bhai's content is like settling down my head and heart.
You know, what we have realized on our journey is that you explain with logic, you give them an understanding, and don't fake up things. Just be the way you are, people will understand. But it is a running mechanism, no, that people go through. Like if I am projecting something because I'm insecure about it. And then we want groups, we want people. But the fact is, when you're being honest and you share what is written in the text, I think that is experiential, no? Two things.
Is there a book or a shastra from Sanatan Dharma that solves for loneliness?
Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the book because the first chapter it says starts with sorrow.
Can you condense down the learnings of the first chapter?
In very simple language. It is said that if you channelize your sorrow or your pain in the right direction, you will be experiencing the highest.
Sorrow sorrow is also energy.
Yes, everything is a yoga in Bhagavad Gita. 18 chapters, they are talking to unite. So if I take this petty victim attitude that why God is like this, why, and channel it to a divinity that, okay, you know what, there's a greater energy in simple language that I leave it to Bhagwan. I will. And you know, it is very amazing personally. As you mentioned, and I've realized throughout the day that you said, oh, it is better, it is better, it is better. Though it may be words for me, but you have experienced it. You won't repeat it all the time. Or though maybe it is words for you, somewhere that experience is coming. So that change and channelizing is again evolution.
Yep. I think people loosely know that the Bhagavad Gita was recited by Sri Krishna to the warrior Arjun
Yes.
on the day the Mahabharata was beginning.
Yes.
To understand it further, Sri Krishna loosely froze time, paused time, and explained it to Arjun.
Yeah.
Because Arjun had too many questions in his head. Because during the war, he was supposed to face his own cousins, his guru, his grandfather. He was confused, he was tired, didn't want to go to war. And then over the course of the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna explains why he must do his duty, go to war. And also then went on to explain how to navigate through life. Sri Krishna was his sarthi, his charioteer.
Yes.
And he was literally his charioteer, but he was also the charioteer of his mind.
Yes.
So I've not read the entire Bhagavad Gita yet. I'm in the process. But what I sense is that when you begin reading the Bhagavad Gita, you will notice that Sri Krishna becomes your charioteer as well.
Definitely.
Out of that pool of sorrow and confusion.
We all come from the same source. Again and again, the Vedantic knowledge is always there. For you, that divinity has taken a form of a Bhairav. For me, she has taken a form of a Kali.
Wow.
And for Arjun, he has taken a form of Bhagwan.
Yeah.
And you know, it is very strange when you read and understand the Gita in detail. He purposely got the chariot in front of his guru and his cousins. And it is a battlefield of life that we are going through all the time, where we'll be placed. And it is to make us realize you will not be placed in such situation that you have to kill your own guru and your own cousins. So your problem is not higher than Arjun's problem. Yet, Bhagwan has solved it. Your insignificant problems will be solved when you surrender.
You know, when a baby is born, it's a soul that's entered Bhulok. Sure, right? Like
before when it comes out or the process, yes.
It's re-entered Bhulok. At least it's open to material reality again. It's outside the uterus. That child, that baby, is obviously not aware of the battlefield that awaits it in the form of human life.
No, there are two possibilities. If the baby has done some past sadhanas, that awareness may come in this birth also.
From the beginning.
Secondly, also there might be a possibility that, who knows, it might be the baby's last journey, like great Ramana Maharishi, so they might be in that state. Or the baby might be a completely baby who was born to solve all the problems, so they may go through a very difficult life. Many possibilities.
You know, people don't get this. I've actually had some billionaires ask me what my goal is in life. And I say that I want to spiritually evolve and everything else is catered towards that. Another story associated with Arjun is how in his childhood, he was called up by his guru in front of all his cousins and he was asked to shoot the eye of a wooden bird on a tree. But before he was called up, the other cousins were called. His brothers were also called. And before any of the brothers or the cousins were allowed to take the shot, the guru would ask them, what do you see? So someone said, I see the sky, the tree, the bird. Someone said, I see the bird in the branch. Someone said, I see you, Guru. Someone said, I see everything around me. Arjun was the only prince who came up and said, I only see the eye of the bird. So the Guru says, do you see anything else at all? He's like, no, I only see the eye of the bird. And then the Guru says, so take your shot. And the bird's eye explodes because of his arrow.
Yes.
Okay. This has been such a character building story for me because I've learned focus through this. But from a very practical human life perspective, what is my eye of the bird right now in life? It is one of two things. One, it's my present, catered to my final goal of spiritual evolution. But if I don't end up reaching a great point of spiritual evolution in this life. I want to ensure that my next birth, when I take the form of a little baby again, that next birth should be very catered to spiritual evolution. Like, I need to position my soul in the best possible place to be ready for the next birth or escape the cycle of birth and death in this birth itself. I think that this mentality is helping me right now. It's helping me keep that arrow locked in. So one of these two things. But effectively, it's just spiritual evolution, which for me means every day praying, meditating, doing my sadhana, being a kind person, trying to improve my body, doing the right thing in the world. Would you like to coach me further in this?
See, this is a very similar question that Arjun had asked Bhagwan. What if I die and have not reached the pinnacle of human consciousness? What if in between I die? We call the yog brushed. That means those evolved beings who have not reached the pinnacle, they come back again to continue their journey. So Bhagwan said very nicely, don't worry. Whatever sanskar, whatever sadhanas you have done will be taken to your next birth and your journey will start from there. You will also be born in a family of yogis. The entire environment will be conducive and you will evolve. But again, at that point of time, if you waver and you go down, the cycle will go again. So conditions will be provided, but the human ego again is what? Problem.
Do you consciously think of your next birth?
Honest answer, how can an instrument think? It is the way it is. If he wants, it is okay. If he doesn't want, it is okay. Kali will decide everything what is there.
This question is coming to me, so I'm asking you, okay? As you kept reading the Bhagavad Gita, in your process of reading it, I feel somewhere in the middle of the Gita was a very important lesson for you. Can you just repeat that lesson?
For me, I think some of my past sanskaras and blessings of my guru, I used to question my guru the Gita all the time.
What?
Question her the Gita. Like ask questions from the Gita and she used to answer.
What do you mean ask questions from the Gita?
So when I used to read the Gita, whatever doubts I had, I used to go run to her and ask questions. So that was my learning and teaching of Gita phase. And what I understood from Gita and what my takeaway is, that in today's world, you are not meant to leave everything and go. In today's world, participate in everything, act everything, go through everything, but internally be established in Bhagwan.
Wow.
If you take this and you understand, you have learned the Gita.
Can I ask you a practical tangential question?
Yep.
How should one divide their time when it comes to balancing spiritual growth as well as professional life, as well as family life and all that?
Very important. This is what many people struggle with. You can't take a holiday. You have to get it in your system like drinking water.
What do you mean?
That means when you wake up in the morning, you have your time to do your sadhana. You have to do it that time. You can't do hanky-panky that time. That means it should become a way of your life. That is the teachings of Gita. That means you divide everything equally. It takes time, but it is possible. It is possible. That means sadhana first, work time first, relax, sleeping time. You have to get it. And that will change and move around according to your system. But that is the teaching that divide time equally.
Effectively, you're saying it has to become a routine?
A routine. And it is very difficult. But if you hang on to your routine for 6 to 8 months, you will get it.
Let's make it easy.
Yep.
I am of the belief that initially even a 10-minute routine can at least begin your journey.
Yeah.
But it has to be a routine. Then you don't miss those 10 minutes.
Bas, that's it. I'm not saying do sadhana for 1 hour 45 minutes. No. But 15 minutes if I'm doing something, stick to it for 6 months.
Yeah. Every day.
Every day, no matter what. If you're sleeping at 10 o'clock, sleep at 10 o'clock, no matter what. If people are going clubbing, people are going for a movie, no, I will sleep. In the beginning, you have to be harsh. That is what tap is all about in modern world. Not going to the mountain and leaving family, but having this, okay, I will not eat after 7 o'clock, I'll not eat. That is my tap. Once it becomes a cycle, you will realize that divinity is just, you will have your own experiences.
Yeah. And honestly, I think people who get scared of this process of spiritual exercise, I don't want to meditate, I don't want to pray, I don't believe in it, what will this give me? My input is two things. One, let your experience lead your opinions. And two, eventually just know you're going to enjoy it. But take your body and your existence to that point.
The three important things that are binding us is sex, food, and sleep. When you get into routine and you get into higher sadhanas, you realize that the taste of the nectar is more beyond than anything. Any relationship, any friend, any food, you're in a different state altogether. And later you realize that you don't need anyone. Everything is there within you. And all the experiences will be given according to your karma and whatever is required in your life.
You're talking about spiritual experiences.
Even material experiences. If you're aiming for a big fancy car and if you don't deserve it, it's not that it will not come to you. But that realization that, okay, I'll give my best, leave it. Again, simple things, foundation today. Yes. Very important.
What an important conversation.
Yeah.
What an important conversation this has been.
I'm very happy that we are not just touching tantra all the time. It is very rooted foundation conversation.
Right? I mean, your practice is of another level. I've just begun my practices, but we qualified for these things because we worked on the foundations. Not saying from a place of ego, just saying this from a place of perspective.
Yeah, that yam, niyam, basic. Ahimsa, sword, santosh, to be contented in any situation. You don't need to chant, you just have to be aware that I have to be satisfied where am I. But give my best. That is very important.
I have one last section I want to open up with you in this episode. Okay? Again, because my mind is going to practicality throughout this conversation. The first time I experienced pranayam in my life, and I think we've spoken about pranayam in one of our episodes. The first time I experienced pranayam, it was almost like dizzying for my own head. I was like, wow, I didn't know that this simple practice of breathing through one nostril, breathing out through the other, will create this shockwave in my head in a good way. I'm not going to ask you to showcase a pranayam because you've done it throughout your content. We've done it on the show as well. But I would nudge the audiences to begin pranayam throughout. So, you know what? Can we demonstrate one? If you're comfortable. Are you comfortable?
I'm very comfortable.
Can I tell you which one? Because this is the one coming through in my head.
Okay.
It's Anulom Vilom.
Anulom Vilom, okay.
There's a version of Anulom Vilom that my friend Sukritiya spoke about on the show. It was a Shiva-oriented episode. It's called Gayatri Pranayam.
Okay. I will show you basic Anulom Vilom that everyone can do.
Sure.
Okay.
And let's take the audience through it in this episode.
Okay. So I'm going to do a proper Anulom Vilom with you. So of course you said cross leg. I can't fit your cross leg. Your spine should be straight. Now this is known as the Pranav Mudra.
Your thumb out?
Yeah, thumb out, last two fingers. It is not mentioned in any text. We call it the Pranav Mudra.
Okay. Your index finger and your middle finger bent. Your ring finger and little finger straight.
Yeah. If you can't do this, you can do this. It is
just
okay.
Keep your little finger out.
Yeah. Okay. But this is the mudra that we take because every mudra is also an important role. Okay. I'm telling you the traditional Anulom Vilom, if you do it for 6 months, genuinely, it will change your life. I take my right hand, I'm a righty. Secondly, what people do pranayam is something for beginners that you should know. Never keep your elbow on your chest. You're blocking your own breathing system. So the elbow should be out. Yeah? Basic. So that there are many breaths also, but I'll just explain Anulom Vilom. We always start with the left nostril.
You keep the left nostril open.
No, we always cover the right. We start from the left.
You cover the right.
Anulom Vilom means alternate nostril breathing. So I'll inhale from the left.
Left. What about the other hand?
Yeah, you keep it Gyan Mudra.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, always start with the count of 6. So I'm just going to count it. So because we are doing it together. Cover. Also, one more thing. I've seen many people complaining that, oh, nose is bleeding. This is light feather touch. Don't push it. Just feather touch. You inhale to the left. Inhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cover the nostril. Exhale right. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale right. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cover the nostril. Exhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is just one round of Anulom Vilom. You inhale left nostril, you exhale right nostril, you inhale right nostril, you exhale left nostril. If you want some results in Anulom Vilom, 15 minutes it should be done non-stop without any break. If you leave, you start again 15 minutes.
I want to add one anecdote.
Yeah.
Anecdote, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is an age where many humans are dealing with anxiety, overthinking. This is one of the quickest hacks to reduce it
And it will give you benefits
immediately.
immediately. It's a fact. We have worked on it.
In a 10 to 15 minute session of Anulom Vilom.
Do it for good 3 months without any break. Start with 6 always. Now we go to advanced, but that is...
Got it.
Yeah, that is...
Not for today.
Not for today. And you need a lot of lung capacity. You need bandhas, you need mudras. You need bija mantras. Now, again, if you're going to bija mantra, is another dimension. But for beginner, sit straight, empty stomach, wake up in the morning, do Anulom Vilom and then close your eyes and meditate. Tell us after 6 months, you will not ask questions, you will increase your sadhana, because after balancing the Ida and Pigna, you can meditate easily.
Can you break down the word pranayam?
Pranayam comes from the root word pran and ayam. Pran is the vital energy. Without... Nothing is into existence without that pran.
Chi, life force.
But that's it. And ayam is you put it away to do it, what to do it, what not. But without this breath, there is nothing. And even in every Hatha Yogic text, you take Garen Samhita, take Hatha Pradipika, pranayam is given emphasis. Even in Tantra, we do pranayam before we do mantra jap.
Wow.
Even when we do meditation, we do Anulom Vilom. In fact, the next step of Anulom Vilom is Nadi Shodhan, where we are doing the same process, we are inhaling but holding our breath. So Kumbhak is where pranayam begins.
What is Kumbhak?
Kumbhak is holding of the breath. So when I talk from a very experiential point of view, pranayam is not breath. The holding of the breath in a certain manner is pranayam.
Because there's an oxygen exchange also.
Kumbhak is the key. The highest ratio that we take is 1:4:2, 1:4:6. I've seen great people inhaling 10, holding 80, exhaling 40. It is crazy.
Yeah. Practical, superficial angle on pranayam, okay?
Yes.
It changes the way you look.
Yeah.
And we're such a cosmetics-oriented society nowadays. This is the greatest makeup you will ever use.
Your skin will start shining, not even exaggerating it.
Yeah.
But you need practice. You need practice.
And of course, your meditations are deeper and all that. There is no way to scientifically explain pran yet.
Yes.
I think it'll be worked on by scientific research and then they'll figure.
Yes.
And you'll often see the people who deny pranayam completely are the ones who've not experienced it themselves.
True.
You can invite all of them to experience it with you.
True.
I've actually made a lot of skeptics sit with me and experience it. They're like, okay, I don't believe in God and yoga, but I believe in this.
Yes, because
something happened.
Without breath, you're nothing, no?
Mm.
And as you mentioned, today we are talking, Soham is fabulous. If you think this is too much easier, Soham.
Just deep breathing.
Inhale, so. Exhale, hum. With awareness, slowly. These are all preparatory to get to pranayam. Then there's level 1, level 2, level 3. There is another dimension.
That's why yoga se hoga.
Yeah.
All I'll say is this. This is something Rajarshi Nandi mentioned on the show. So he said that the law of the material world is that people or things that contain slightly lower Shakti will be attracted to people or things that contain slightly higher Shakti. It's how the universe works. Now, one other angle on this is, if someone is famous and they're out in public, they will be a magnet for other people to come up. That's a very small way. If someone is rich, you will attract people who either want to work with you or want to benefit from your money, etc. These are very small scale examples of Shakti. And I think that one of the material goals of human life should be to accumulate more Shakti. One can understand whatever they want through what I just said. But a very practical way of accumulating more Shakti in your head, heart and soul is to regularly practice pranayam, because prana is life force.
True.
It's almost like the petrol that fuels every other action in your body.
Definitely.
And it's not as simple as just being oxygen. It's the subtle layer beyond oxygen.
It is the cleansing of the nadis, the flow of prana, the awakening of... Again, we are coming to Tantra, but yes, awakening of Kundalini.
and so doable, so easy.
So it is a game changer.
It's not even a meditation. It's something you have to do with your hands and your nostrils, and it can begin unveiling the real version of reality to you.
There is something called Kapalbhati. Kapal is this and shining.
Skull.
Yeah, and Bhati means to shine. So Kapalbhati, there are 7 to 8 kinds of Kapalbhati. 4 are very famous. Basic Kapalbhati, if you do with awareness, 3 months, you will have a drastic change in your concentration awareness. Drastic. Drastic means drastic. And we have done it. So talking through experience. But people don't want to do this. I don't know what. You know, I realized somewhere when we started our sadhana, of course, we are still beginners. No matter what, even if you are tired, raining, headache, what, we roll the mat and we do.
Yeah.
Once you touch the mat, automatically you start doing it.
Yeah.
But rolling the mat and sitting, and that is the effort. And you do it for 6 months automatically. It's like going to the gym. If you have not done your biceps for a long time, the muscle will crave. Similarly, the body will crave for sadhana.
Just begin.
Yeah.
Stay at it.
Stay at it.
Tiny, easy goals which are doable.
Yeah, small.
Yeah. Things add up in the long term, and there will be material benefits also, but that material benefit is an outcome of all the spiritual benefits.
Foundation first.
Bhavesh bhai.
Our bhai. Thank you so much.
Hari Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om Tat Sat.
Nothing to say to you. You know everything I wish to say to you already, but
No, I'm very, very grateful and I'm happy.
important episode.
Yeah, very nice.
Responsibility oriented
Yes.
episode. Just thank you for being in our studio again.
Thank you for just being. Thank you.
Har Har Mahadev.
Har Har Mahadev.